wanted to kind of flip a little bit defensively. We talked a little bit about Tom Allen, but I want to talk a little bit about the guys under him. Ben Boulware, of course, is in his first year as Clemson's linebacker coach, and of course he's being assisted, and there's a lot more in the defensive brain trust than there was last year, just in terms of support staff. How has he managed the transition? I mean, I heard good things in the spring, and obviously getting to hear him talk about how how his transition into a full-time coach has been. But how did he kind of, what was his kind of thing with the linebackers today?
Yeah, we got the chance to speak to Woodaz, Sammy Brown, like pretty much almost all the linebackers, which was a nice, I think, kind of fitting with the theme of this defense is you're going to start there. But we asked Sammy Brown just about Boulware, and they just continue to ooze about the reputation of this guy, someone who is at the top of the mountain for Clemson, greatest linebacker in Clemson history, depending on who you ask, and bringing that and being a teacher now, essentially. And I think the word I would use is more comfortable. Words I would use probably more comfortable in his role, comfortable in his shoes. Boulware's never been a shy guy, as you and I both know. But it's just a matter of him getting his feet wet. I think the spring was a great introduction for us to see. I remember this is YouTube, so I got to keep my mouth shut about certain words we use. But he said, guys, we didn't do any of that weak 4-letter word. And you just knew that, okay, there's a different energy in the building when it comes to the linebackers and really the operation, getting to talk to some of the other coaches at the open house. They just love them. They love the energy. It's, I think, the right amount of intensity on that side of the ball where I think Allen's going to be in the box for most games, kind of just overseeing it and really being able to analyze it really where he was for Penn State. And then you've got Ben Boulware on the sideline sort of as the loud dog that barks and relays those points and keeps that intensity going. So we've heard nothing but great things about this transition. Clemson made the right move at the right time for someone that came in as a volunteer and now is the linebackers coach at a position he won a national championship at nearly a decade ago. So great moment for him. And the linebackers just, I think there's a lot of respect on both sides and it's a lot of eagerness to learn. And I think it's only served to benefit this room. And sooner rather than later, we'll get to see those results pretty soon.
Absolutely. And with the secondary group, I'm gonna kind of I'll phrase it this way. There's certainly some players that that have made transitions there. Jamal Anderson, we talked about earlier in the show. Ronan Hannafin. Have they been repping? Like, how have they been repping things? I know Ronan Hannafin is he's making the full-time jump to safety, but Jamal Anderson, how do they view him right now in terms of where he fits in this defense? Did you get kind of an idea? Or I know it's kind of hard because they didn't really do much today in terms of like seeing a ton of true defensive work. But what did you see from him?
So Sweeney gave a pretty decent answer about just sort of Alexander's role within this defense, and they called it the star of the Jack at Penn State. They're going to call it the Tiger here, and that's kind of their guy. Depending on the matchup, they're going to throw him in there. Sweeney mentioned Khalil Barnes is one that could probably play the nickel, but also can go out and play safety depending on who they have. I would imagine LSU, you're going to probably drop a little few more out there, so I think Alexander's probably I would imagine is more of a front seven guy in that level versus more as someone you'd rather trust out in coverage, is how we read it. And so in my mind, you kind of bring him out there as a coverage backer, maybe for tight ends. And at that same time, you trust him also to be able to pick apart a defense as a blitzer and as a pass rusher. So I think there's different layers to it. I don't think we have a concrete answer as to where the stars are going to line for the safety group. And it's an interesting point you bring up because that is probably the group that has the most question marks entering 2025, maybe aside from the running back room and the tight end room. Safety's probably one where you're crossing your fingers. You got guys like Kylan Griffin and Ricardo Jones that you're excited about, but you haven't seen them play significant snaps quite yet. You've seen guys like Khalil Barnes make plays, but where does Clemson envision him in this new defense? And so there's a lot of moving parts. A name I heard over the microphone today a lot for good plays was Ronan Hannafin, someone that was getting a lot of praise in those competitive drills. You just kept hearing, Ronan, like, let's go. Like, good work there on that rep. Keep building on that. And build on it he did. And so I think Ronan Hannafin probably is coming away with a stock up. If we're doing stock up, stock down, probably you can't really do stock down because we don't really see enough to be able to go, that wasn't a great day for him. But I think Ronan Hannafin, if we were going to do a stock up piece, certainly he's one that you're writing about. And this has not been a very long transition for him, but he is making the most of it each day.
Absolutely, and that's a thing I'm really interested to kind of see how the pecking order kind of plays out and develops as we get deeper into fall camp. With that linebacker room and at safety. I mean, it's there. You have guys, you have options, but you just a lot of guys that you haven't seen play a good bit. All right, Grayson, I'm gonna leave you off with this final question. I'm gonna brace when I ask it because this is one thing that I've not enjoyed talking about throughout the off season. The special teams,
Oh, yeah.
the kickers. Well, not kickers. Did you get to see a whole lot of punts today?
I did.
At all? Okay. What was your kind of observations there?
Yeah, mixed bag for them today. That's probably the most, probably the best way I can put it. Yeah, it was interesting to see Charlie Reed out there, the new place kicker that they brought over from the soccer team. Had a couple decent punts. I don't think it was a great day for anybody in particular, where I was blown away by someone had a booming leg. Everyone makes the joke. I've seen Austin Pendergast do this plenty of times where it feels like Clemson's playing Ray Guy every single week.
Yeah.
But shout out to him for that. I think and this was something that David picked up on as well, is we both felt like Robert Gunn was probably the leader of the clubhouse and someone that has made that transition. He's still going to be the kickoff guy, but someone that you could see punting and being in a starting role, got a powerful leg. It's just a matter of the technique for him probably as well. But he was probably the top guy. I didn't think it was a great day for Jack Smith, truth be told. Sweeney's been pretty high on him, but I do think that there's going to be a big competition at punter. That's one of those positions that if you talk about special teams as the chief problem, you probably got a good football team.
Yeah.
But at that same time, as you know, special teams can win and lose you a football game. It got Clemson to the college football playoff. I wouldn't be too worried about Hoosier in the blocks. I think they're going to shore that up. They had Will Helt and Peter Woods out on that left side that was always seeming to leak over and be trouble for them in that certain stretch where it felt like every game there was a block. That's going to be a pretty tough stop with a Helt and Peter Woods, a healthy Peter Woods too, as well.
Absolutely. You definitely expect that the blocking to be much better. I mean, they review the tape from last year, and I think they kind of figured it out. Towards the end of last season, finally, after they had 7 block kicks last year.
It's most in the FBS, yeah.
Yeah, don't expect that again this year. But yeah, interesting about the punters. If the offense is as good as we think they can be, then hopefully you won't be punting too much. But you still want to have that in your back pocket, be able to flip field position, do all that. And obviously last year just wasn't it.